Whether your favorite fish has stripes, spots, or whiskers, they can all be found in Texas. We're gonna tell you what rigs and techniques you'll need to catch them. This is the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Kiss,
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We hope y'all had a good weekend of fishing, and now it's even better is that you're gonna have an even better weekend of fishing because we have all your captains with all new reports for an amazing week and some fish kisses, as you.
Well, Jimmy's been kissing the fish for 1,000 years, and I just saw him kissing in the video. Maybe kiss a fish.
Dave Farrell, do you know anything about kissing fishes? No, yes, you do. Come on.
No, I eat a lot of bait on here for some reason, but I don't catch fish. We're talking about crappie today. We're going to talk about crappie. It's about that time, so everybody's catching them.
I love it.
Well, very nice. I know y'all are dying to hear what's being caught in your region. So, Rick, what do you say we get these reports underway?
I can't wait. Let's go. Come on.
All right. Getting us started tonight is our upper fresh guide, Steven Johnson. He has everything you'll need to know for Lake Livingston, Toledo Bend, and Sam Rayburn. Hey, Steven.
How y'all doing today?
Pretty good. Just kissing fish.
We're going to start off talking about Lake Livingston. Lake Livingston is really all over Texas and Louisiana has been known for a white bass and catfish lake. I mean, the black bass have always been in there, but there just hadn't been a lot of, press about it. And boy, the last couple of weeks, the lake's really showing off. They're coming on spinnerbaits with white skirts, silver blades, coming on Texas rigs, 7-inch worms, black, blue, plum color, and throwing a square bill, 1.0 and 1.5. And what these fish are doing, these fish are really staging up on the bulkheads. They're staging on any kind of trash, any kind of logs in the water, and they're getting on the docks. If you've got big, bright sun on Livingston, it's really positioning those fish great for the docks and for the laydown to jam those fish up against it. The water's really clear on the south end of the lake. From the 190 bridge south, it's really a little bit clearer than it really, normally is this time of the year. So that's real good. But early in the mornings, it's best to get off of that and get right up against the bulkheads. Raise your troll up, position your boat, get parallel on those bulkheads, throw your spinner baits, your crankbaits, and just stay in that 1 to 3 foot range. There's a lot of good fish coming in that 1 to 3 foot range on those bulkheads for the first couple hours in the morning. And we had the Texas Team Trail Championship over there this weekend, and I'll tell you what, it really showed out. It took 44.5 pounds to win. Ted Pate and Kyle Rowe from Louisiana come over there and really just put a stomping on myself and a bunch of us. So they had a couple 7-pounders in that bag, so the lake's really showing really what good bass fishing it has in it.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to jump over to Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend to the crappie report. We've been talking about it on and off, and Dave's going to talk about it a little bit too this week. It's really on fire. We've had a bunch of rain in my region the last week. The lakes are coming up, but really the fish are really, going good. On Toledo Bend, the docks and the bridges, and what I like to do is try to find one of those docks out towards the main lake. Kind of stay away from the docks back in the creek because you've got a lot of mud coming out of those creeks. So stay on those docks on the main lake. And on the bridges, catching a lot of fish on the Pendleton Bridge and catching a lot of fish on the Lannan Bridge. Now, later this week on that Lannan Bridge, if they do happen to open the floodgates at Toledo Bend, that will get muddy. But for maybe this week and maybe a little bit of next week, those fish ought to hold in there good. Over on Sam Rayburn, it's the same thing. The 103 bridge and the 147 bridge are really doing good. You can catch these crappie on jigs, on red chartreuse color, in smoke, but it's really best to just take your minnow, put a split shot on it, and we're fishing it from 10 to 14 foot. Those fish are suspended from over 20 to 40 foot of water. You can get close to the river or close to the creeks coming under those bridges, and you can see them on your electronics, out there suspended. So you always want to make sure you got that minnow above those fish. Very seldom those fish will go down and get the bait. So if you're not getting bit, you always want to make sure you raise that minnow up and higher that water column. I had another good report this past week on these nights that we hadn't had some bad storms. There's some guys on Rayburn that's doing some night fishing. They've got a bunch of green lights that they're dropping down, and they're catching real good from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. They said the first couple hours at dark is really not good, and then after 2 o'clock it's not good. So if you don't mind fishing out there from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, they said the crappies being real good.
Sounds like to me those boys are using that as an excuse to go down to the local pub. That's the perfect time, 10 to 2, baby. All right, tell us about the photo, Stephen.
That is a good customer of mine, been with me a long time. That's Mr. and Mrs. Tom Walters. They brought their grandchildren over last week and caught a nice big box of crappie, had a great time. And, hey, it's a great time. The kids are out of school. You know, it's still not hot. I mean, it's really nice for early June. You know, most of the time we've already got temperatures in the high 90s and low hundreds, but with all this weather we've been having, it's really cool. So it's a great time to get your kids out there and get them out there on the lake.
So, Stephen, I got a quick question for you. Somebody wants to book a trip with you. How do they go about doing that?
They can give me a call here at my house. That number is 409-579-4213, or they can shoot me an email, and that's Johnson. It's gofish@Johnston's Guide Service. And my last name's got that T in it, so always remember to put that T in that Johnston.
All right.
Give me a holler and we can get y'all out there on the lake.
All right, thank you, Mr. T. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region. Lake Livingston bass are good in 1 to 5 feet of water, spinnerbaits, crankbaits, rigged worms. Still shad spawn going on for the first 30 to 45 minutes of the morning. On the riprap, look for them around the bridges. Square bills and spinnerbaits are best for that shad spawn.
School's out for summer. Bounce, bounce, bounce. You know I'm going to sing
Come
that.
on.
School's out. All right, someone else who's got it going on in the Yeti Lower Fresh region is your guide, Matt Reed, with killer reports from Lake Amistad, Falcon, and Belton. Go for it, Matt.
Hey, Brady, how are y'all doing today?
Good. How are you, bud?
Doing peachy.
I'm good. Just got back from Falcon, so I've got a lot of current stuff going on. We're going to start that largemouth bass report off at Lake Amistad, though. My buddy Ray Hanselman Outdoors is guides down there a bunch, and the fishing is phenomenal still at Amistad. The water temperature's in the mid-70s to high 70s. The lake level is stabilized lately. You know, they pull out of the South Texas reservoirs to irrigate the valleys. They've been falling real fast for the last couple of months, but hey, quite a bit of rain. Lake stabilized. It's low. It's 32-foot low, but the hydrilla is doing great. You know, it's maintaining and growing out with the falling water. It's keeping its outside edge depth. So that topwater bite has just been crazy. You can take a Strike King Sexy Dog or a Spook, you know, walking type topwaters on the outside of that grass around the points, get a ton of bites. They're also real active in the center of the drains where that grass is growing really well and starting to top out. The other technique that's working best is with swim baits on weedless weighted hooks. The Strike King Rage Swimmer, the 4.75, or the Bass Pro Speed Shad are the favorites in that. I like the Sexy Shad color in those. They're really biting that well. They'll also bite a square bill crankbait over the outside edge of that grass. The deeper grass is starting to get real thick. It's in 12 to 15 foot of water out there. Summertime's coming. It's getting to where you can catch a few fish flipping vertically into that grass with soft plastics down into the thick pods of it. And that's going to get stronger and stronger now as time goes on. So that's what we're looking at Lake Amistad right now. I'm going to roll on down the road to Lake Falcon.
Okay.
I've been on it for the last 10 days guiding, and it's been a lot of fun. Our numbers are great. Fish are associated to the rocks, the rock ledges, rock house foundations, any type of rock structure right now. Catching them on crankbaits, Carolina rigs, and I like to throw a stand-up head, a big shaky head with a great big worm on it. And that's some of the ways we're catching the big ones. You know, an average day right now, we're going to catch 50 to 75 fish a day. A lot of those fish are not real big right now, but you're going to get your opportunity every day at a few big ones. You know, we're catching anywhere from 2 to 6 or 8 fish, you know, 6 pounds or bigger every day. Well, I didn't catch a 10 last week. Had a customer caught a 9.69. That was the biggest. But it's been a lot of fun. Citrus Shad or blueback chartreuse are your best colors in the crankbait. Soft plastics, the plum apple color, or blue fleck. It seems to do the best for me. So get yourself down there and have some fun. moving on up to Lake Belton. Brian Cotter with Texas Hogs Guide Service has spent some time on Belton lately. That's one of the kind of hill country lakes, beautiful clear water. Fish are biting pretty good there right now. There's a lot of submerged brush in the water in the 3 to 15 foot range. Catching those fish flipping Texas rig soft plastics, either crawl worms or jigs into that heavy brush. Getting quite a few bites that way, and he's even catching a smallmouth or two up there shallow. Smallmouth are kind of a bonus here in Texas. We don't have them in many places. But also he's catching quite a few of those smallmouths out in that 25 to 30 foot range on the rock ledges, so on jigs and baby brush hogs. But that's just a kind of a neat little lake to have some different type of action with real clear water.
So tell me about the photo, Matt.
That was my customer Carl Self the other day. Caught him a big old Falcon Lake special on a crankbait, and he's smiling from ear to ear.
All right, before we go any further, I want to talk about the Navionics from the Lower Fresh region. And so the one thing that I really like when I'm looking at my iPad, I want to show you guys how easy it is to navigate the app. Now, whether you have the app on an iPad or whether you have it on your iPhone, it works, or any smartphone, it works really, really well. So here's what I like. As you can tell, in the Lower Fresh region, there's tons of lakes. So by simply coming up here to the menu, there's a whole plethora of different things that I can click on. At the bottom, I can click on lakes, and it'll show me, load in all the lakes for me. Now, if I want to know a little bit about that lake, all I have to simply do is click on it here. It'll go to it and show me the different things. The other thing that's really cool about this is those of you who like to be out on the water, maybe go to a restaurant or a bar, I can click on that and it'll load in all the restaurants and the bars within inside of that region too. So Navionics is not just our charts, it gives us a whole bunch of information. We have marinas and moorings and where that all takes place, and it'll load in for you as well. And if I want to go there, I just click on it, or it actually gives me the phone number over here so I can find out whether they have gas or they got a boat launch or whatever I might need. All right, Matt, tell me a little bit more about the crappie fishing.
Crappie at Lake Falcon has just been crazy. This week I had a couple of clients that wanted to catch a few, and he thought we'd catch a few. Pulled up on the first brush pile, and in an hour and a half we caught 70 out of one brush pile. You're dropping 1/8 ounce jigs in either red chartreuse or monkey milk, which is kind of an off-white color. Did it another day for 2 hours, and we caught 60 out of 2 brush piles. So it's just, the crappie fishing down there is just off the charts right now. So it's just been a lot of fun.
So Matt, let me ask you, how long does that crappie fishing last?
It's really better in the winter. That's the crazy part. So right now, we've got a population down there. The food supply is awesome, and it seems like it's going to last all through the summer, and it'll usually gets better in the winter.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Yeti, the hot spots from the Yeti region. We'll get to that photo next week. The Lower Fresh region hotspots are going to be Lake Amstead. Bass are busting top waters around the hydrilla all day. Spooks and Strike King sexy dogs will get it done. And then Lake Falcon, the crappie are incredible right now in the brush piles in 15 to 20 feet of water on an 1/8 ounce jig. Bree.
Well, it sure isn't crappie.
No.
There we go. All right.
There it is. There's the first one.
There it is. Stay tuned, Texans. Coming right up, we're checking out the Upper Coast region, and we're also looking over yonder to the CCA workbench for some Dave Farrell time.
Yep, we're going to be talking about catching some of those crappie. And why do we catch them? Because they're good to eat.
Because they're good to eat,
Absolutely.
and they're
Delicious.
biting like crazy. All right, we'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. Navionics. We start where the road ends. CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Inside you, there's an outside you. A you that takes the road less traveled than the road less traveled, and finds the comforts of home extremely uncomfortable. This is for that you.
Remember to follow our guides and be up to date on all things fishing in Texas. Make sure to head over to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com. You can also like us on Facebook at Texas Insider Fishing Report and follow us on Instagram at TifferTV. Also, don't forget to send and tag us in your fish-tastic photos and videos. But now, it's time for Rigs and Techniques.
You know, Dave, every week we're here at the CCA Workbench and we got to talk about products, but right now
we're talking
it's about
crappie.
rigs and techniques.
I'm kind of the bad guy to talk about it. Every time I go to try to catch a crappie, I catch a bass, it seemes like. But
oh, that's a high-class problem.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Well, there's two species of crappie in Texas, so a white crappie and a black crappie. And a white crappie has a more regular pattern with bars on it, and a black crappie, he's splotchy all over, although the white crappie will splotch up during spawning season. So you got two different kinds. The white crappie is all over the state, and the black crappie is mainly in East Texas in the clear water there.
Gotcha.
So you got two different ones out there. It doesn't really matter because they both eat the same. They're both delicious.
Right.
So, and you can catch 25 per person.
Right.
And they have to be 10 inches long minimum in Texas.
So you don't think that because they're crappie fishing so good in the summertime, it has nothing whatsoever to do with the species being one is more heat driven versus one is cool?
No. The good thing about it is, I've read a lot of stuff online about them. Texas got a lot of rain over the wintertime and the fall last year, so the crappie fishing is really good. They like to have a lot of fresh water, new fresh water in there. It washes all those nutrients into the lake. The little microorganisms that the babies eat bloom. And just like he said, when you got all that bait and everything else, then the crappie fishing is really good. So they have it like a boom and a bust.
Right.
They have to have those big high limits because the more crappie you take out, it allows them to get bigger. If you don't take a lot of them out, then
they all the same size stagger.
And they get smaller. And,
so how are we going to catch them?
Well, there's 4 different ways. You can troll, you can still fish, just sitting there. You can drift. And you can cast, just like regular fishing. But what the hardest thing to do is to locate them, And what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to find submerged cover, a creek bed, brush piles like he was talking about. A lot of guys go out and make their own brush piles.
They like structure.
Exactly. And in the summertime, they get real deep. When as soon as it gets real hot, they get deeper and deeper. Right now in the spawn, you can find them in, water usually less than 15 feet deep. They get up around those willows and around cove areas or docks, bridges, piers, they're kind of like the dolphin fish of fresh water. If there's something that they can hang around, that's what they'll do. And if you get to a spot and you sit there and fish for 10 or 15 minutes and you don't get a bite, especially if you're using a live minnow, move on. You know, because
like it.
when you start catching them, you'll catch them. They're not solitary guys. You know, if you start catching one, you're going to catch more. They're there. And they're either, you're not doing something right if you only catch one, you need to do something else or move.
Right.
But like I said, in the summertime, they're going to be really, really deep. And and right now is a good time to go night fishing for them too, like he was saying.
Because it's cooler, obviously.
That's right. At night it's cool, and the fish will come up a little bit from that deep if they're in the deep water, and you hang a light and it attracts the bait. I've even heard of guys, I read something online yesterday, they put minnows in a jar and lower a jar down full of minnows, live minnows. The crappie will come to the jar.
Under the light.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true or not.
I like that trickery.
It is trickery. And you know, when you're fishing for a crappie, you can use everything from a cane pole to a little spinning rod. And I got it right there behind you.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Big cane pole.
You better get with it, Dave, or you're gonna run out of time.
I know. If I had cane poles like this when I was a kid, I probably would have never went to a spinning rod. But it's all tangled up now. You're screwed. Yeah. But anyway, that's 8-pound test line, and I've got a little horse head jig on there with a lake fork. Believe it or not, they make their own. A company out there makes a jig style of soft bait that's named after the lakes we're fishing in a lot in Texas. Mm-hmm. But that's a little pretty jig on there. And what you do is you fish that jig under a float, just like, boy, you've got it really messed.
This is a real show.
Oh man, you got it in my live bait rig too, didn't you?
I got it in your live bait rig.
Yeah.
I got it.
Well,
Dave, you did me wrong on this one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
anyway,
boy.
the best bait to use for them, beside all this jigs and all this other stuff, is a live minnow. A 2.5 inch minnow on a single hook. You know, fished. You know, between 15 and 20 feet deep in the summer and shallower. Use your depth finder, find the concentrations, and then you can just bust their butt.
Good
Live
job.
minnows, especially.
Good. Live bait.
Live bait always works best.
You know what they say? Want to sleep late? Use live bait.
That's right. Exactly right.
Good job. All right, Bree,
Well,
where we
while
going
you guys
next?
are untangling things
What a mess,
over there.
You're killing me, Whitey.
When it comes to the Upper Coast region, your captain, Caleb Harp, sure knows how to get the fish in the boat. Care to share, Caleb?
Oh, yeah, we will. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good. How you,
Good.
Caleb?
Oh, pretty good. Well, hey, these trout, they're going pretty good on the Sabine Pass and all the humps and reefs off the spoils of the ship channel. You know, this ship channel is obviously very deep, and it carries the current swiftly up and down the pass. You know, and sometimes this will hurt you because the tide's ripping too strong. But once it slacks up, you know, it gets really good, and those fish really cooperate a lot better. But all along the sides of the ship channel are, like I said, different humps and reefs that'll hold trout and redfish during the summer months. And, you know, these fish...
Did we lose him?
The spoils to feed. But just use your depth finder to locate the hump and then go back and fish them. Soft plastics are going to be your most consistent lures, but if the fish are on top during the flight, it isn't a bad idea to tie on a topwater. Battletails like mirror soft shads work well, but they also like rat tails sometimes, so you know, try a mirror provoker as well. Chartreuse gold and Texas roach are great colors to pick from. Quarter-ounce jig head's probably going to be your best bet right now to break through the current. But if that tide's really smoking, a 3/8 ounce, you know, really works good. And then if it's slack, 1/8 ounce works well too. And then going over to redfish, there's been quite a few redfish back at Trinity Bay, up in the Jack's Pocket area. And this whole area just really consists of muddy bottoms, clamshell, and biodrains. And as the water temperature rises, more and more grass will start to grow. And then they'll get on that grass real good. But lately, the fish have been holding tight to shell. And, you know, the key to fishing the trip back to Trinity Bay is just to play the tide. Whenever the tide's bulled up, you know, we've had a lot of high tide here lately, this fish will spread out and roam right against the bank. And it kind of makes it difficult because, you know, they're harder to find. But once that tide sucks out, they're going to congregate tied up against any piece of shell they can find. And gold spoons have really been good here lately. A lot of people, you know, quit throwing spoons, but they've been good because they're eating a lot of shad and ribbon fish. So it looks good to them. But, you know, it's also hard to beat the, you know, good old gulp shrimp under a popping cork, too. Most of these fish aren't very big. You know, they're 21 to about 25 inches. Nothing too huge, but they can be a lot of fun when they slide off.
All right, so what do you got for me offshore, bub? Yeah, keep going.
You're good. Going offshore, man. Red snapper. We just got done with our little 3-day federal snapper season this last week. and not too many guys were able to get out there due to the weather. Nasty storms, unpredictable winds. Nearly every day kept a lot of the guys at home. But the guys that did get out there, they did very well as always. Nearly every piece of structure in federal waters are holding snapper on any type of live or dead bait. And even though the federal season's closed now, you can still catch and release them out there. Just make sure to bring a good finning tool. That way the fish can swim off healthy. State water snapper, they're still legal 365 days a year, even though there's not as many out there, as in their federal waters. But also the cobia. Those cobia, they're still out on the navigation buoys and inshore structures like we've been talking about the last couple weeks. And a lot of the times these inquisitive fish, they're going to rise up to the top whenever they hear your boat, or if you rev up real loud, they'll rise up. But once you see them, just pitch a big swim bait, curly tail or bucktail jig on them, and they're most likely going to take it. These lures work really well, but live bait can also produce, bites as well, obviously. Cobia are a lot of fun and a great table fare, but the best thing about them here in the Galveston Bay area is that you don't have to run as far to go get on them like you do all the other species.
All right, Caleb, good job, and we appreciate it very much. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the CCA Upper Coast region. Inshore, trout in Sabine Pass working humps and reefs off of the Spoil Islands in the Ship Channel. Soft plastics like MirrOlure soft shads or provokers, chartreuse gold, or Texas roach are great colors. Quarter-ounce jig head seems to work best to get through the current. And then offshore, red snappers in state and federal waters. Any type of structure is holding the snappers right now, and they'll eat just about anything, live or dead. Catch and release only in federal waters, but state waters is open 365 days, which is everything inside of 9 miles.
Take a breather. That was a lot. All right, the 2017 CCA Texas Star Tournament started off with a bang with 3 tagged reds caught in 3 days. Three in 3 days in Houston, Corpus, and Aransas Pass areas. Pending polygraphs, 2 anglers will be taking home a new F-150 towing their Haney boat and Mercury motor package. Shoot. Unfortunately, though, the 3rd fisherman did not get around to enter and will not be taking home driveway size prizes. Wah, wah, wah. But don't let that be you guys. Fishing is white hot and you still have until Labor Day to catch that fish of a lifetime.
Our Chiron girl said you shouldn't be allowed to go fishing without being registered for the CCA.
So listen
and go
to her.
the Star. Come on, man.
Get registered.
After you catch him, call her. You'll go fishing with her.
Yep, and you have to thank her too.
That's right.
All right, we're coming to you, Middle and Lower Coast region, so don't move a muscle. The Texas Insider Fishing Report crew will be right at the back. I tried to roll my R, but it didn't work.
I like it.
And now I smell like a fish. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Hey, how do you like your Contender? How do I like my Contender? What's not to like? Dude, I just saw a Contender, and man, I gotta give me one.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left, there's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Last week's Power Pole Tip of the Week, we talked about the Micro's battery pack. Now this week, we want to continue to customize our Micro. Now when you purchase a Micro from Power Pole, it comes with an 8.5-foot pole. So that sometimes can be too long. And so if that's the case, then we want to cut it down. It's really simple on making this happen. Get a hacksaw, pick the length that you want, and cut it down to the length that you desire. Now, what's really important here is after you've made that cut, then we want to simply make a point. And the reason why it's important to make this point is because the calibrating wheels inside the Micro will understand where it gets to the tip, and it'll know the length of the shaft that you've decided to use. The other thing that has to happen is by sanding this or using a file making the point, then it's certainly going to help grab in rocky or sandy conditions. Now the Micro also comes with a thread on the end. You can purchase a flag with a light on it. And the reason why this accessory is important is for you low john boats or little technical poling skiffs out in Louisiana, around Lake Okeechobee, where you have high grass, it's hard for us to sometimes see those smaller boats. And this is very helpful as you go through your path so that we don't have any issues whatsoever. Now next week, we're gonna actually talk about the Power Pole anchor comparison. So make sure you tune in for that one. So Bree, you know, rounding off that tip over a period of time is still very important because that's how the pole recognizes, obviously, when you've come to the end, so it doesn't spit it out the top.
It's a good tip.
The other thing I think is really cool, in Texas, they have a lot of grassy shorelines. And for a guy in a john boat or a little boat that's using a Micro, you might want to get that flag with the light. That really works really well.
Good Power Pole tip. High five. Oh, wow, you smell.
Down low.
Down low. Too slow. No one got it. What better person to give the inshore and offshore report for Freeport, Surfside, down to Matagorda Bay and Port O'Connor than Captain Bink Grimes. Hello, Bink.
What's going on? I tell you what, we're happy June's here because it's turned on our fishing. I can look back at my logbooks from 20 years, and when we switched the calendar to June, it's just like the speckled trout flip a switch. It's been a good switch, too. I had one of the best topwater bites this week that I can remember in over a decade. I was throwing Super Spook Juniors and literally quit 2 mornings at about 8 a.m. because I was tired of catching fish. The bite was good, and the fish would literally bang it as it hit the water many times before I even engaged my level wind. One morning we had our limit of trout by 7:30, and as I walked back to the boat, caught another 10, and it's just, man, it's good. A lot has to do with the strong incoming tides from the Port O Jetty and the Pascavallo, as those flood tides flood West Matagorda Bay and Espiritu Santo Bay and just push a lot of tide-running trout from the surf. A surf trout always fights harder, probably due to the fact that a trout he's a couple of notches down on the food chain in the Gulf of Mexico. Those trout have to deal with sharks and tarpons and kings and jacks and other animals that we can't even imagine it comes that close to the beach. Man, in East Matagorda Bay, lots of big trout were caught last week. Lots, and thank the Lord, lots of them are released as well. We haven't been able to really fish East Bay like we want to because of the winds, but man, it died down this week, and the water's green, and those big trout are where they're supposed to be. Port O'Connor guy Lynn Smith said he caught and released a couple of fish pushing 29 inches while wading grass flats on the incoming tide. Smith said one morning we sat there boat to boat. We talked about just how good 2017's been on the Middle Coast, and it's just like somebody dropped a big old load of fertilizer in our bay, and voila, we got a lot of big fish. It's really a combination of good conservation management, the power of freshwater inflow in our bays. I got a photo there of Tommy Alexander with an early morning limit of Port O'Connor trout caught on Super Spook Juniors and rose-colored Norton bull minnows.
All right, Bink, great picture. Let's talk about a little bit about redfish.
Man, redfish, we're always at the mercy of the tides with the redfish. We've had a hard outgoing tide at night, which has pushed reds to deeper waters off the shoreline. Guide Ray Sexton said he's catching a lot of reds on the windy days along those wind-blown shorelines while wading with croaker. He says when the water's stirred up and off color, it really gets the reds going, pushes a lot of those shrimp and shad up there and those reds forage on it. Matagorda redfish have been found in Oyster Lake and Crab Lake, Twin Islands, Shell Islands. It's been a fast and furious fight for those willing to move around, fish point to point, use your power pole. Be prepared to weed through a bunch of little fish, though. But that just shows you what the future holds for us. At Fort O, we're raiding Pringle Lake with gold spoons and small topwaters, drifting those back lakes with live shrimp and gulps of work. It's been a better afternoon bite after the tide comes in, but that'll change when it switches over. Got another photo there of a nice 2-man limit of redfish caught on those windy days wading with Captain Ray Sexton.
All right, so let's talk a little about offshore, man. The weather got a little better for you?
Yeah, it's been good. 3-day red snapper season, man. It was really good. We caught every wreck, every piece of rock had snapper on it from 15 to 22 pounds. Just really, really good. Michael Quebeca said kingfish are all around the rig. Lots of trolling ribbon fish and deep diving lures, and still a lot of cobia with those red snapper around the wreck. And there's a picture there with Ashley Quebeca with a 22-pound red snapper.
Wow.
Wow, that's a nice one there, Bink. Tell me about the kingfishing, Bub.
Man, the kingfish, they're coming to the surface around the wrecks. You can pitch to them. You troll around those Russell lures. It's been good. There's also a lot of ling around there, and there's also a lot of floating grass in the Gulf, and it's got a lot of dolphin and triple tail. They're using it for cover, so be ready. Have another rod rigged up. You might get you some bonus fish.
All right, great report this week, Bink. You covered it from A to Z. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast hotspots, inshore trout, wading sand and grass flats in West Matagorda and San Antonio Bay. Top waters like Super Spook Jr., Skitterwalk, Sheep Ups, and on soft plastics, you might want to try a down south lure, Bass Assassin, Mirror Lure, Little John, or Norton Bull Minnow. And then offshore, kingfish are good, while trolling the rigs with ribbon fish and deep diving lures, cobias are following up the red snapper to the surface, so be ready for them.
Okay, now let's head a little further down the beach into our lower coast region with Captain Chad Kinney. What you got for us, Chad? Something good?
Yeah, it's great. It's phenomenal. The weather finally gave us a break after 8 weeks of wind blowing hard. So the weather broke. The fishing's just been on fire from inshore, offshore. Everybody I talked to up and down the coast just been nuts, and it's the best I've seen in years, actually. So moving into the inshore, moving to Baffin Bay, went there, talked to some buddies of mine. The trout fishing's been excellent. They're catching some bigger fish around the grass pockets and plenty number around the rocks there. They said also the Tide Gauge Bar and the East Clayburg have also been producing quite a few fish there also for them. So I talked to my buddy Connor and Hubbard Reynolds. They've been fishing there since they were kids. They're good guys, and they're out on some good trout, drifting those grass beds with some live bait, using live croaker and some piggy perch on a 5-aught tail hook, 25-pound fluorocarbon leader. And they said if you're looking for some numbers, box fish, meat fish, 17, 19-inch fish, they said go up to the rocks and the drop-offs there. There's plenty of them there. And so since the winds have been calm also, you can try some top waters in the morning. Rapala Skitterwalk's been working well. Sand eel, farm chartreuse been working great in the plastics there. And they said it's just been really good up north of me there. So we got a picture of a nice trout that the guy got there, about 25-inch speck, and good, solid, healthy fish all through there.
And that looks like some fun there, Chad. What else you got for us inshore?
It's been going good. The redfish out of Port Mansfield here, matter of fact, just got off the water here a couple hours ago. So we got an update here. The slot redfish heading north to the East Cut here. We were out there this morning and just look for wakes pushing. These fish are going to be kind of scattered. They're not schooled up real heavy. You'll see 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 in the group. But head up real shallow, find the mullet, shut down, power pull, get out, make your wade, cover some ground, use a weedless spoon with a fast retrieve, and you can get lots of action. You're catching lots of 16, 18s, but you get a lot of 21, 28-inch slot redfish up in there. It's been really good. And on the flip side there, just south of the pass, right along the East Cut there's actually been some bull redfish showing up, which is kind of unusual for this time of year, but there's packs of them moving up and down the edge on the grass line. And I was with a buddy of mine a couple days ago, Captain Danny Contreras with G-Man Charters, and we were wading those edges, and we couldn't get him to bite anything, gulps, topwaters, spoons, nothing. So he cast netted and got some finger mullet, and he got about 8 inches of water, pitched to him, feed him, and the back was all the water. You can see I got a photo there of about a 40-inch bull redfish. Whoa. And he caught in about 8 inches of water. And his client, that's the second redfish he ever caught. So pretty good stuff on 10-pound test line.
He should just quit while he's ahead.
Yeah, he needs to just start fishing offshore now and go out and catch a 1,000-pound blue mark.
Yeah.
You got that right. So I need him on my boat during the tournament.
Yeah.
So during head moving over to the offshore there, guys, the whole lower coast here has been nuts. I've talked to guys from Port A, South Padre. I've been out deep. It's been great. So out of South Padre this week, I talked to my buddies of mine, Salt Walker, Mike Walker, great captain down there. So there's some good weed lines out to 200 fathoms. I mean, some big sorghums and stuff like that. And the red snapper and the kingfish are still holding tight in the state water stuff. But that weed line's really good in about 200 fathoms of water. So the wahoo on those weed lines are pretty solid too. I've heard a bunch of my buddies catching a 40, 50, 60-pound wahoo, which are good-sized wahoos, and hit those weed lines and stay on them. Use like a purple Rapala diver, mackerel peller, 7.5 knots. If you're targeting those wahoos, it's working really, really good. And that bite wasn't on until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So got a great picture of a wahoo there. You can see there's about 60-pound class. There's quite a few of those caught this weekend, which is solid.
That's a great fish. All right,
Yeah,
tell me about the billfish.
Yeah, the billfish, we got the best report I've heard in a long time for this early in the season, so it's on now, guys. You got to get out here. It's 2 boats out of South Padre on that rip of 200 fathoms, and then 2 boats went 2 for 2 on the blues, and so it's pretty good for this time of year. I'd try some tuggers on your flat lines, and on your, of course, your rigger, use some ballyhoo or rigged with or use some mold crafts or wide ranges. I like using some black barks or Joe U super thunders on my flat lines there. And then go from there and some mold craft wide rangers on your riggers. But you got a picture, like I said, there was 4 released, and I got a picture of buddy of mine, John McIntyre, on the Houdat. So they got released nice blue model there.
All right, great report this week, Chad. You covered it again from A to Z. Our guys on the coast are really going off. All right, let's take a look at the lower coast hotspots. Inshore trout fishing has been excellent in Baffin Bay. Look for the bigger fish around the grass pockets and plenty of numbers around the rocks. Tide Gauge Bar and East, what is this, Kegel? Clayburg have also been hot. And then offshore, wahoos, billfish, red snapper, kingfish, the entire coast has been great since the seas have subsided. Out of South Padre, look for wahoos and billfish out 200 fathoms on weed lines. Red snapper and kings are plentiful. Closer in state waters, Bree.
We'll get there, Rick. We'll get there. Here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, we have one more area to cover.
And where are we going?
I'm not telling you. And that is the upper fresh region. But we also have some new products to cover at the CCA Workbench. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yeah, what do we got to look at?
Well, you're getting all googly-eyed on me over there. One's going one way, one's going the other.
I know it. Where are you?
We call you Cockeyed Jr.
All right, stay tuned for that.
Dave.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Rapala, catch the latest at rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
So guys, let's talk about how Starbright continues to make a lot of cool boat cleaning products. Now in the past, we've talked about the Extend-A-Brush, the boat wash and wax. We certainly talked about the different brushes that go on the end of the extender handle, and then the reggae mitt. But now we have the new microfiber pad. And what I like about this is its swiveling head. And what it allows me to do, guys, it allows me to get to places without having to change many angles. It does it for me. It makes life very, very simple. I can go right around the front of this cowling. If I was using a brush, I would have to be turning the handle over, as you can see. Now I can also use it as a scrub mitt, where I can go along the edge of the gunnel and go down the covering boards and even get underneath the covering boards without having to do anything other than just keep scrubbing. So if you have any questions, go down to your local retailer, tell them Rick sent you, and make sure you check out the new extender brush and all the different attachments, chamois as well as brushes and microfiber pads that Starbright is making. We're here at the CCA.
It seems like you were just here.
You know, informing, educating, teaching people how to wash a boat.
Right.
Man, we just got it going on.
And now we're going to teach them how to use a sea sucker.
Yeah, I like the way that sounds.
Yeah, well, you know, this is the sea sucker cup holder. It's a new one that they just came out with. It'll fit a Yeti Rambler. It'll also fit a little cocktail
So this is how
tumbler.
it goes. So we got it mounted on this Yeti. We're going to keep pumping the sea sucker
until the little thing
until
goes
the
away.
orange stripe goes away. Now it's engaged. Like you said, Dave,
Yep.
this has a special insert so that it holds the big cup.
Right.
But if it's too small, then you can pull out this insert, and now it'll
the
hold
tumbler.
like,
Yep.
yeah, your highball.
Yep, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think
pretty
about
cool.
that, Davey
I think
boy?
it's awesome.
Yep.
Holds bottles too. A water bottle when you put that insert in there.
A
and
beer
everything.
can, water bottle, even,
Exactly.
I believe even the small Gatorades will fit in
Any
there.
flat surface, it ain't going nowhere either. Perfect. It ain't going nowhere.
Yep, stuck like Chuck.
All right, our next little thing here is Guy Harvey. He's come out with a series of flag shirts, 50 flags, obviously. There's 50 states,
Yes.
last time I checked. And that's the Texas one. It's a beautiful one. Every flag of the Union, they make, and it's assembled here in the United States. They make them in long sleeve, short sleeve. It's 100% polyester, keep the sun off you. It's very light and
Nice.
cool.
You know how
you go to Guy Harvey online and
the girls are gonna look really hot in that. That's got the
Yes.
little V-neck in the front.
Yep, it's very nice.
Nice
very nice.
job, Guy.
Guy Harvey, he makes good stuff. All right, this was a little eyeball thing I had on a second ago. These are naked ball jigs, and they're made by a fella up in North Florida. And believe it or not, I mean, that thing, you know, you look at it and you go, what the heck am I going to do with that? Well, they've caught over 70 species of fish on the ball jig. Everything eats that dang thing, from little trout. I mean, I think this would be perfect for flounders or, you know, whatever. And redfish,
Right.
trout eat them. Everything eats these things, and they're almost, once they eat it, it's almost impossible not for them to get hooked. They got two nice hooks on there, and it's, you know, the big ones have eyeballs. They make offshore ones, you know, that range from 2 ounces to up to 8 ounces, and then they've got the inshore ones.
The different colors, Dave? Pink and chartreuse?
Pink and chartreuse, glow colors, pretty
White.
much. Yep. Hot pink, chartreuse, green, and polar white.
Nice.
Yeah. So naked ball jigs, they're really cool. Give them a try. Next, we got some new colors from the logger toads. You know, these are all Bass Assassin, and you know, if you're fishing for bass, you know, you want to have a logger toad. It's a big creature bait, and these are all the new colors. We got Florida frog, which I think this is what this one is. That's icicle. And we got a blue one that's called the St. John Special, nice dark blue with some speckles in it. And we got
Watermelon red, which is a very popular
watermelon,
color.
and a Chico's red ear.
Oh, not
Which, you know,
Chico's red ear.
Chico. And then you got a watermelon with a red glitter and a pearl in mixed in.
Yeah.
And you know, the logger toads are great baits. You can use them as a penetrating bait, or you can flip them through the lily pads and
The other thing
work them like a frog.
In Louisiana, we reel them on the surface with a weedless hook, and there's the little legs make a gurgling sound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Works
there you
good.
go. There you go. Why not?
That's
I
right.
like using stuff on the top anyway.
Yeah, man.
Well, the last one here are some razor baits. They're made by a fella down in Boca Raton, actually, and Florida. And those are the Samurai with the triple blades,
Right.
and the Razor Spin is the double blade. And you know they come with a polished brass or nickel, and the Samurai there with the 3 blades, they're actually counter rotating, which is pretty cool.
So Dave, if people in Texas want you to feature their products, where do they send it to you? Contact you via email, Dave@newproducts.
It's new products at CaptainRickMurphy.com.
New products. That's right.
Razor
right.
baits.
All right, Bree, where are we going speaking of new products?
Speaking of new products, well, y'all, if you're in the Upper Fresh region, get ready for hot spots on Lake Fork and Ray Roberts, presented by Rick Carter. There's lots of bites to be had on these lakes this weekend, right, Rick?
You bet, Bree. Glad to be here tonight. The bass on Lake Ray Roberts are really biting on the main lake points with rocks and sharp drop-offs nearby. That lake has a lot of rocky points on the main body of the lake. The 5XD crankbaits, the Bass Assassin 4-inch swim baits, all of those in white and shad patterns are working great. A little later in the day on Ray Roberts, the swim jigs and watermelon candy are working great in the Buck Creek area. Moving on to Lake Fork this week, we have the Skeeter Owners Tournament on Fork. There's going to be huge crowds on a 28,000-acre lake, so please be safe out there. Watch your other boat drivers and have a great tournament. The fish are schooling on points and humps early and late in the day on Fork. The submerged pond dams, long points are the ticket, throwing football jigs in the peanut butter and jelly color. The 10-inch blue fleck LFT worm is working great. On cloudy days, the lily pad fields are working. On cloudy, rainy days, we are still throwing a river to sea frog on those pads, and the black and red has been the best color.
All right, what else you got for me, Rick? Tell me about the photo first, I'm sorry.
Hey, we got a photo there, Rick, of John with Martin Company. He caught that on a black and red bully wall frog in front of the cattails here on Fork. A really nice bass.
That is a nice bass.
Lake Fork has got the crappie going good again. On the cloudy days, 8 to 12 foot has been the number on the shallower brush piles, and then the days that the sun pops back out, get back in the 12 to 20 range. The bonehead swamp bug and chartreuse and white, and the Bubba's electric chicken has been working also. And as the water warms, you may have to go to lighter line. These fish start to see your line in warmer water, so you may have to break down on that line size.
Hey, tell me about the photo here.
That photo is Kevin Brown and his father here on Fork with Terry Moon. They're out catching them some big crappie, and I think they fish with her about once a month.
All right, so Rick, Bree and I and Dave have a question for you. So a question is, we want to come out and fish with all the guides from Texas. What would be the best time of year to come and fish with you?
I would either come between now and, say, end of July, or wait and come in the fall as the temps drop back, and that is late September on into Thanksgiving. We're still fishing every day out here.
Okay, so when we come in the fall, how are we going to switch up our pattern that compared to how you're fishing now? Is there any adjustment, and what kind of lures and rods and reels should we bring?
In the fall, we do go to some bigger baits, big giant flutter spoons, and some larger swim baits. Those fish start feeding up for winter, and the big Florida bass here, they like to eat big in the fall.
All right, man. Well, thank you. Great report this week from the Upper Fresh region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. You all right, Dave? Lake Fork.
Dave.
We talk about going fishing. He's ready to go. Lake Fork is producing giant bass on deep crankbaits, football jigs, Carolina rigs. Main lake humps are also great spots. And then the crappie. Crappie is on the feeding frenzy. Large catches of big slabs are being caught daily in 20 or 12 to 24 feet of water using minnows and jigs.
I choked on a logger toad.
You choked on a logger toad.
Eating the bait again, I swear, Dave.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you guys
First, let's clear it up. It's products at CaptainRickMurphy.com
Yes.
if you want to send me anything. products at CaptainRickMurphy.com.
Yeah, and you know, guys, a lot of times you need to understand that whether it's products here or whether it's the information that our guides get, if you guys have a great fishing report, you got a great picture, go to the captain from your region and send it to him. Our guys are reporters. We know that they don't cover from one end of their region to the other. Texas is too big for that. So keep in mind that they could use as much help as you can give them. It's no different than a Good Morning America guy in New York reporting about fishing. I mean, talking about news story, even though they don't live in California. So we could use your help, and we appreciate some of the emails that we're getting in regards to the great job that we're doing.
Yep.
So make sure that you guys help us in any way you can, and we'd love to have some
if you have
product.
pictures or questions, send them in to Rick, to our Facebook page, Texas Insider Fishing Report. We'd love to hear from you. We're having such a fun time on the show. We're so happy to bring fishing to all y'all in Texas.
And don't forget to get registered for the CCA Star. You got to be registered, and you got to be in the tournament in order to take home the big prize.
The big
right,
prizes.
Dave? That's right.
See y'all next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.